Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today I want to talk to you about PC gaming, and I'm not talking about modern PC gaming. I'm certainly not a modern PC gamer or a PC elitist at all. I do have a Steam account, but I don't religiously download new games to play on my laptop because I have games consoles for new releases. I have played with some sort of indie titles recently like Project Zomboid, this kind of thing, but I'm just not primarily a PC gamer. But my interaction with PC gaming actually started relatively early, and in that sense I think it's worthwhile just touching on. I first remember, my first memory of a PC game was back in the late 90s, and this must have been around about 1997 probably. So I'd just gone to high school, and a friend of mine called Pete invited me around to his house to play Tomb Raider. Now Tomb Raider at that point wasn't an established franchise. It wasn't this sort of thing, like the rise of the Tomb Raider. None of that. It was just a game which had come out, and he said, you got to try this game, come on over, we'll give it a go. So I did, and his dad had this relatively powerful machine for the time. It was running, souped up graphics on this great big sort of tube monitor, this this sort of square glass fronted thing. And we were playing Tomb Raider, and I found the controls a bit strange. I found it really, really weird that we were using like a typing keyboard for controlling the movement of the character, and the mouse for things like the camera or whatever, or the guns. I found it a bit strange, but I adapted fairly quickly, and we got to this boss where there was a bear running around trying to get you. You're sort of in this sort of room where there's lots of pillars, and something happened. The bear got stuck. It got stuck in like a glitch. He glitched, or sort of like stuck in a feedback loop or something. It was just going round and round and round in circles around this one pillar, over and again and again and again and again. And I was like, Pete, this really isn't very impressive. So I was able to whip out Laura's two guns and just shoot the bear to death, and the level was over, and actually then the game crashed. And that was basically my first experience of PC gaming in the late 90s, around 1997, and I wasn't particularly impressed. Now, at home, our family was actually a really late adopter of the PC. We we definitely got the PC, or a PC, after the year 2000, probably around 2001, 2002. But even then, it was outdated. This particular machine that we got was very, very old, and I wasn't particularly excited by it. I really wasn't. I was happy with the consoles that we had, the Mega Drive and whatever. And but my brother was really into this new form of gaming, and he was quite an early adopter in that sense. So he would go to random charity shops and get hold of like 3D pool games and racing games and puzzles and board games, and I just see how they worked on this brand new platform on the PC that we had in our house, which incidentally Mum had got primarily so we could do our homework. Obviously IT was becoming more and more an important subject in school, and she was like, got to be able to do your homework for IT, so here's a PC, or rather here's an old PC. And it wasn't really until 2003 that things changed. Around 2003 there was a game changer, and that game changer was the original Call of Duty, which first of all my brother Paul started playing religiously. He was just playing this thing non-stop, and I would be looking over his shoulder every now and then. The PC was set up in the dining room, so we couldn't be on it all night kind of thing, or looking at websites we shouldn't be in the dining room. So I'd sort of go through to get like a glass of water or something, and I'd see this game. What's that? And it was Call of Duty, and bit by bit I was drawn into PC gaming, and I actually really like the original Call of Duty. In particular, there's a campaign with the Soviets where I think it's retaking Stalingrad, I think, and you sort of land on this riverside that's been exploded, decimated by bombs, and you've got very little in the way of weaponry. There's lots of, basically you're a ramshackle Russian force trying to hold your own against the Nazis, who are very, very, the Germans were very, very well supplied, and at that point have loads of weaponry, and it's terrifying. And by today's standards, the graphics aren't anything to write home about, but I found it really immersive. I was like, is this what the Second World War was like? Wow. I thought this actually gives you a sense of just how, frankly, scary parts of that conflict were. And so that was the first time that I was thinking that the PC had something to it, that actually it was worthwhile sticking with. A couple of years later, around 2005, I think, I'd just gone to uni, and on one of my first holidays back home, my brother had picked up a game called Guild Wars, which he was actually obsessed with. He and his friends would just be all night. They'd talk to each other all day in school, and then they'd go home and play Guild Wars all night together and be talking to each other, typing away in the chat box. And he was getting really into that realm of being a bit too sad for his own good. But then I was sucked in. So on these first holidays back from uni, didn't really have much in the way of work to actually be doing. So I got playing Guild Wars. I started up my character, and he was telling me about this massive multiplayer online kind of way of playing. I was like, this is really, really cool. This is amazing. And I was sucked into being part of a guild, and so on and so forth. And so I found myself like at 1 a.m. still playing this game quite often. But at that point, when I was playing the game that late, my brother would go out for the night, and he'd go out and get completely wasted. Come home having drunk many, many, many random alcoholic drinks, and he'd come in just trashed. And my abiding memory from this time is him coming in, staggering in, this sort of tall, lanky guy, coming in, and just going, all right, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? I'm like, hello, Paul. Just playing Guild Wars. Do you want to get off to bed? Yeah. No. I'm alright. It's alright. Guild Wars, right? Okay, cool. Where are you up to? And he was miles ahead of me. By then, of course. But there's no way he was going to give me useful advice. So I'd sort of go, well, I'm just doing this, and then I'll be doing that, and I'm doing well. It's okay. All right. Okay. Give us a hug. Come on. Give me a hug. He'd say. And after a while, I'd have to stand up, and I'd go, okay, here's a hug. Here you go. I'll give you a hug. And he'd just punch me in the arm. He'd be like, yeah, fucking love you, yeah. And then he'd disappear off to bed. I mean, oddly enough, that's one of my abiding memories of PC gaming, was getting into Guild Wars and having my brother hug and punch me like late at night. Of course, as well, out of this whole sort of culture of PC gaming was coming phrases like pooning, owning, that had been mistyped with a P instead of an O, this kind of thing. And bit by bit, we were getting access to more computers. So, for example, I had a laptop. My first laptop ever was when I went to uni, and I started to play things like Half-Life, the original Half-Life game, which was brilliant. I'd already been playing at that point things like GoldenEye, but Half-Life was a story which unfolded in the playing of it. You weren't told the story, you discovered it as you played it. And that was a wonderful, wonderful way to while away the evenings when I wasn't doing other things at uni. It was magnificent playing the original Half-Life. I was a bit late to the party in that sense. But what a party to be late to. Half-Life was incredible. And then when my brother went to uni, he got his own laptop as well, and he started playing games like Fear, which I remember visiting him. I went down to his uni and visited him there in his first year, and he introduced me to Fear. He had this lovely little sort of sound setup, and it was making me jump. It was kind of scaring me, quite rightly, as it should do. But that was PC gaming. It was wonderful, and it was, in that sense, more advanced than the consoles, and it still is in many ways more advanced than the consoles. It's just less convenient in many respects. But my favourite PC game throughout that time actually comes from around 2001, but I didn't play it until maybe 2002, 2003, and that is a game called Stronghold. It's like an isometric top down but sort of 3D-ish game where you're building castles and you have certain missions. And there's one mission in particular in the campaign where you have to make a certain amount of ale in order to get people on your side to help you fight someone else in this campaign. And the great thing that I really enjoyed about Stronghold was the way that you could build these castles in almost any shape. You're using resources, you're getting the stone to build the walls, keeping the people happy by giving them beer and food and rations and this kind of thing. And you get to the point in that particular level in the campaign, well, what you could do actually is you could sell off excess ale and purposefully elongate the level. So you could sort of say, oh, I haven't got the ale yet, sorry, keep on playing, and just make your castle so good that every now and then an enemy would come in from like their staging point off in the corner, and they'd just be completely wiped out because you were so completely owning this little map. And that's my favourite PC game ever. Of all time, Stronghold is it. Stronghold 2, I didn't like. I have to say, Stronghold 2 was an unnecessary reinvention of the wheel. It was an attempt to go into 3D, which didn't really work. Stronghold 3 I have played, but has some similar problems to Stronghold 2. And then Stronghold, things like Stronghold Legends, I actually haven't played yet. I'll have to give it a go because I want it to work in that full 3D as opposed to just the almost 3D of the original Stronghold. But there's just something about it, and also like the voices in that game are magnificent. They sort of, yes, my lord, just wonderful. If you haven't played Stronghold yet, you'll have to give it a go. In fact, I'll have to do a Let's Play of Stronghold at some point on this YouTube channel. But those are really my memories of PC gaming. My fairly early PC gaming, fairly late to the party in terms of getting a PC. I mean, lots of our friends had PCs long before we did at home. But I remember being bit by bit impressed by the potential of a PC to run graphics which were very impressive, to handle data and to handle saving and to handle interactions with other people via the internet. Broadband came into being at this time, and multiplayer online became so much more easy, so much more doable than, for example, even with, say, the Sega Dreamcast. I mean, famously, that had a massive bad reputation in terms of online multiplayer. Certainly at first in Britain. But I remember just seeing this stuff unfold and being increasingly excited by it. And now with Xbox Live, I sort of get some of that stuff from that. But I'll always have very fond memories. I mean, even now on my laptop, I've got Stronghold, I've got Guild Wars, I've got a couple of other more modern games as well. And so yeah, I do go back to it. I do play those games. And Stronghold for me is the best. It is the holy game of PC gaming. It's the best game ever made for PC. But I just thought it's worthwhile talking about. I mean, at first, yeah, a bad impression with that feedback loop with Tomb Raider, but it was worthwhile sticking with, and certainly just seeing how bold the steps have been in PC gaming, and the technology and the hardware has developed in the past 10 years, for example, has been really, really interesting. And I feel really quite lucky to have been part of that. To have seen that really shitty, really shitty start to PC gaming, where it's just really, roll your eyes, kind of dull, all the way through to now, when actually it is arguably one of the best ways to play a game. Although obviously, when it comes to things like Arkham Knight, it's being forced on you that you have to play 30 frames a second, this kind of thing. But that's a whole other video. That's a whole other topic. I like PC gaming. I'm just not a PC gamer. But hopefully, if you haven't yet, hopefully you have tried Stronghold. If not, go and give it a go. Go and try it. Go and download it. If you haven't yet, go and get it. It's dirt cheap these days, a couple of pounds. And if you like that sort of game, you'll like Stronghold, definitely. Anyway, guys, as ever, until next time, do take care. And hopefully this has been kind of interesting to you. Do talk to me. Comment below as to what you think about this whole period in PC gaming. I really want to hear more stories. Anyway, as I say, do take care. Bye bye.